It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 10, in that verse 1. And it reads, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. I start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to Kol Elohim Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Double honors to the elders, to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so. Not more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua that they're listening and learning. Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you also shalom. Brother Yahweh, coming at you another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh. By Hashem Yahushai, Yahweh, meaning He is, He exists, or He to be. By Hashem, by His and His the Hashem, His name. Yahushai, meaning He saves, or He delivers. True name to the Most High God, the Son of these people, ignorantly called God and Jesus Christ, but whose true name, the Paleo Hebrew, is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. This lesson is inspired by a video I just saw. I put onto this New Economist, and the Spirit jumped on me to do a lesson because while you got all these different things going on in the world with Trump and the moves he making, the madman. Actually, I came across two economists. Gave all some juicy information, but nonetheless, this particular economist that was going into how pretty much they passed the bill where they can actually, they're pretty much making it difficult to use cash. I also came across an article where they said that they're tracking, it was not an article, it was an economist, or I came across a channel. Actually, I upload a lot of his videos. The Snyder Report guy, he said that pretty much they're tracking cash transactions. And if you are familiar with or can recollect, they did the same thing in the UK. They're talking about tracking it. And so, again, it's a lot going on this with the smoke and mirrors because it's magic. It's stage magic. You got stage magic and you got actual real magic, which they're doing both, sleight of hand. That's what stage magic is. So they got us looking over here while they're actually passing these laws. And these laws is ultimately going to lead to the mandatory implementation of that micro CHIP because that's the direction the world going in. So that's why I started with Isaiah chapter 10, woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, because this is an unrighteous decree. Then it says to turn aside the needy from judgment, because at the end of the day, who are the poor and the needy of the earth? The Lord's people, I was listening to the elder go into how you got Esau thinking they're going to escape from some shit. Their forefathers, their people introduced to the world. Now you want Jake to stand up with you. And, I was listening to the particular elder. Well, I was listening to the elder apostle, beloved elder apostle, because he highlights a few videos that he deals with. Certain brothers, I guess, where he sees the spirit, which those brothers do make very edifying videos. Nonetheless, and the elder that he was backing off a video, or he made a lesson out of that brother's video. He was like, fuck you. What I mean? He was like, pretty much after y'all that did this, you watched us literally be downtrodden by this system. And now, because it's not benefiting you, and that's how Esau Edom is, in a lot of ways. I forget how much I hate being around Esau Edom. I hate working with them. Because they automatically got this sense that they think they better than you, or think they, you just the stupidest. And sometimes I play on that shit, let them think what the fuck they want, what I mean? Because that's to my advantage, and it's to their disadvantage. I work at a job where it's a lot of hazing, because, certain, if you know, like the elder always quotes. And what I find funny is I'm gonna let them get away with the hazing to a degree, as long as you don't let me do nothing weird or try to, with the hazing. I mean, as mentioned, is in the industry they'll make up a tool and they get a kick out of having you go look for it. Well, what I'm gonna get kicked out of is they thinking that this shit gonna continue going on. They thinking, because they just job secure because they got work for now while all these people losing work. But what you don't know is the system gonna crash regardless. back in verse 2, it says, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they might rob the fatherless, because ultimately they're trying to come after the birthright. They want this artificial inheritance. We were given the spiritual blessing while they accepted, the physical counterpart, which they're going to try to do by carnality or by force. And that's why you're seeing all this shit come into play. Believe it or not, we are in some very amazing, highly spiritual, dangerous times. Anything like would happen at any moment. And my mindset, once I first started learning about the truth, although I'm not a student of history, but I know some history. When you look at how nations conquered other nations, like it was a video I was thinking about doing, because this same guy breaks down how Esau Edom doesn't try anything new. If it works, he continues to do it. And even like Ecclesiastes, it talks about no new thing under the sun. So when you go into like Spain, which are fellow Edomites, they all had these fiat currencies that pretty much, well, they wouldn't even use a fiat. Just like ancient Rome, they were pretty much debasing the money. Ancient Spain did it too. So, they was talking about the Dutch. All these Edomite nations doing the same shit. They got to, and that's why they said you can see the American dollar on the decline, because of the fact it's a system to fiat currencies when they rise and fall. So, I'm all over the place because my mind is just like running. I can imagine what the beloved elder apostle, well, brothers, you know what I mean? When you got that much information, I said that before, years back when I was with the camp. It's like a lot of information is pretty much circulating. Like the elders say, some days it seems like you can't keep up. There's so much to talk about. But if the Spirit is on you, the Lord, that's why brothers doing 3, 4, 5, 6 videos. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot going on. So it's not really excuses. Yeah. Well, I said I'm gonna start trying a new approach to certain things. I can't worry about what the next. I looked at a particular situation, even though I didn't broadcast it, people was curious. You know, and pretty much the Lord, the will of the Lord was done. And like I said again, I'm not mad. I'm more so mad about the situation as far as you know you got children and whatnot. I'm more mad about that. But it's funny because all the time that I was supposed to be insubordinate, which I really wasn't. I never was like suspended or anything for any of that. So that was the Lord's will, right? I chose to leave because of the fact of something that I realized. You know what I mean? Which I understand the Lord calls. I remember the elder said that. He said, the hell you catch, or, the favor that certain men get, that is all from the Lord as well. But you got to remember also, and I'm not saying this is true, I'm just speaking. That's just like King David's son. I can't remember which one. I need to go back into that, going back into the Book of Kings, Chronicles. Well, what was it, Absalom? He was loved by the people too, right? See, the cold part about what the Lord do is, the Lord can make you wealthy, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're favored or you blessed. Although, you blessed with money, but you might not be blessed with this truth. So that not necessarily make you of the elect where you're going to be delivered. You know what I'm saying? I remember Jacob sitting up there questioning, oh, you doing good? Doing good doesn't necessarily mean the Lord with you. Just like doing bad doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting judged. So, it's just multiple thoughts running through my mind. What I mean? All I can say is stay locked in. What I mean? I happened to notice in my journey, in my walk in this truth, that the Lord will put me in certain situations, and again, it's funny because the job I work at, I get very dusty. One of the oldest professions, put it like that. And I know the Lord got me here for a reason, just because of the fact this was my second opportunity to get this same job. You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, a lot of people don't want to do this work, but like Jakes was talking about making it harder for yourself. At the end of the day, the Lord gonna preserve you or he gonna destroy you. You could be with 1,000 brothers. If it ain't meant for you to, like, if your lot is your lot, is your lot. You know what I mean? But like I said in a prior video, I would rather it be like this and hold to the truth as opposed to holding to a lie or making it, you know what I mean? Like the Lord ain't with nothing like that. Like, yeah. Salakia, I just been rambling. So I'm gonna give a salute again because I don't recall if I did. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to God, Lord, like Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem. Kodash them honors to the elders and to the apostles that I learned the truth from. Peace and salutation to the Akim. Peace and salutation to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking our lives and freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aquat to listen and learning, Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations appearing like the other nations. But who's subscribing to the truth? To you, I say shalom. So I'm gonna say fair use. I'm not profiting enough for this. I'm just about the lines and stuff he says with the scriptures, or marry him to the scriptures. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Copyright.
Let me ask you something. The way I'd ask my father, you've lived long enough to see currencies change, policies.
Copyright disclaimer.
It's law. The new bill to ban money just passed. Alert. While the nation debated headlines, a committee vote occurred after midnight. Not a single news anchor mentioned it. The framework is now in place. Not to make cash illegal, but make using it impossible. The infrastructure has been built. The timeline has been set. Your bank account, your savings, your business transactions, all of it visible, trackable, and soon controllable. The digital cage door is closing, and most people have no idea it's even there. Welcome to Boring Economic. Now, before we go further into what just happened,
going to that what was it? The Genius Act. Yeah. And the stable coin and all these different parts to this thing that they pretty much. And the funny part is, a lot of people aren't even aware of a lot of stuff that they've done because all of it's worked in unison. And again, at the same time, you know, again, it makes a lot of sense why the elder, you know, what he says was trending, Revelation 17 and 16. What DJ Trump just did is literally, you know, isolated himself and made these people pretty much hate the beast, hate the horde. You know, you're seeing these different nations talking about their siding with Greenland, and I think France even talking about sending troops. A few of them did, but yeah, exciting times.
In that committee room, let me ask you something. The way I'd ask my father, you've lived long enough to see currencies change, policies shift, and governments make promises they didn't keep. So do me a favor. If you value knowing what's actually happening with your money before everyone else finds out, hit that subscribe button, not because it's trendy, but because economic intelligence isn't entertainment, it's survival. And one more thing, drop a comment below and tell me, where are you watching this from? What city? What country? Because what's coming isn't just an American problem. Now let's get into what this legislation actually means. The committee room was nearly empty. It was 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Most Americans were asleep, while a handful of legislators voted on a bill that would fundamentally alter how money works in this country. The bill passed, not with fanfare, not with debate, but with the quiet efficiency of something that had been planned for years. The official name doesn't matter. What matters is what it does, and more importantly, what it doesn't say. Nowhere in the 247-page document does it say cash is illegal. That would be too obvious, too alarming. Instead, the legislation does something far more clever. It builds the infrastructure that makes physical money obsolete. Think of it this way. They're not banning roads, they're just making it impossible to drive on them. The first major provision requires every business in America to report digital transactions to the IRS in real time. Not at the end of the month, not quarterly, instantly. The moment a customer swipes a card, the government knows. The amount, the location, the merchant, the time. All of it logged, all of it permanent. For business owners, this creates an immediate operational challenge. New software systems must be installed. Compliance officers may need to be hired. Every digital payment infrastructure must connect directly to federal reporting systems. The cost of this compliance falls on businesses, not the government. Small businesses will feel this pressure first.
Just exactly like the data centers, which will fall on the taxpayers, you know. That's cold too when you take time to think about it. These devil, like I was just listening to an elder, he did a video, he said this devil got you paying for everything. He got you paying for the system that's gonna enslave you. And then like I said again, the UK, pretty much we in the stage with the UK doing, because although America was behind, they catching up very fast. You know, what's the scripture? This devil coming out with great wrath, knowing that he had but a short time. So it's like you can see the cables put on this devil, like literally. And it's so cold when you sit back and think about it. I mean, there's so much going on in my mind, well, look, in the world, you know what I mean? Because again, at the same time while they're recruiting ICE and they got the budget for that, they got the budget for everything, and they cutting pretty much the provisions for the people. So they're gonna pay their soldiers because you got to. You know what I mean? Look at ancient Rome. But on the flip side of it, they cutting off the resources for the people, you know. The child care, you know, you expect these children to go to school because a lot of the people that rely on those programs are single, you know. Yeah. The American dream, right? Because I believe most people don't start out having children just, oh, I'm just going to have children. Stupid ass Jake do like that, or Jake that don't really use their head. I didn't start having children until I was well in my 30s, which was part of the Lord's plan as well. But nonetheless, yeah, now they just you're gonna suffer in every way imaginable, and that's the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, or Babylon the Great. But like I said again, now they're talking about tracking them. You know, they're trying to say because of all the fraud. You know, you got to remember this devil and a lot of the shit he does, he'll paint the picture of it being for your benefit. You know, this is happening, so we have to do this. And like they always say, when they say this is going to help you, it's usually set up to further their agenda.
Local coffee shop that processes 50 transactions a day now reports 50 times to federal authorities. A freelance consultant who invoices clients through digital platforms now has every payment tracked and categorized. The gray economy, informal exchanges that keep small commerce alive, begins to disappear. But the real foundation of this system isn't the reporting requirements, it's what comes next. The bill allocates funding for something called Central Bank Digital Currency Infrastructure, CBDC. Most people have never heard this term, but it represents the most significant change to money since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913. CBDC is not just digital banking, it's programmable currency. Money that can be coded, controlled, and modified by the issuing authority. The legislation doesn't mandate the use of CBDC yet. It simply builds the roads, installs the cameras, and sets up the toll booths. The actual requirement to use this system will come later, probably during the next crisis. Financial emergency, cyber attack, economic collapse, whatever the trigger, the infrastructure will already be in place. And this infrastructure...
And you can see it clearly, like I said again, when I, like I said, the Spirit jumped on me to do what I did and leave, you know. Because again, I've said it numerous amounts of times why I did what I did. And it's like, I'm talking like the gal from Charlie Brown. Why? So there ain't no point in really speaking on it. You know what I mean? You know, I watched Grace and Mercy be given, and you know the thing is, a lot of mercy and grace was given to me. So you know, it's only fair, right? I just was curious as to why you even spoke on it. You know what I mean? But anyhow, you can see that it's all being already set up. You know. Yeah. When I went and did what I did, as far as going out on my own, but still believing in the true doctrine, the Spirit jumped on me. I never cared. I mean, I cared about certain things in history, but I didn't care about how money worked. I didn't care about any of these things. So that's why I said what I said about the Spirit of the Lord jumped on me to go check on these things, because I heard another individual, a highly believing brother, which, you know, you can't say who you believe, you know, and it don't matter how much you believe if you're not of the elect. You know, Elder did a video about a guy, I believe it was titled something along the lines, even camp leaders can lose the spirit. So that's why you got to understand what you're involved in and how much is a truly fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living power. At the end, too, shit, stop playing with them. But when you go into pretty much the Great Depression, you know, the social system as far as Social Security and these social programs like the food stamps and welfare and whatnot was set up because of that. Because people lost everything, and that's what's gonna happen again. That's why I said I could laugh at these Edomites because you can tell they don't know. They believe in a gun and shit like that. They think they fucking really free. They just fearful because some fact they taking a beating as well. They used to give a fuck. I mean, I can speak on this because I'm witnessing it with my own eyes. They didn't give a fuck when it was affecting just Jake, but now it's affecting them to a degree. So now they want to be, now they more serious faced and whatnot.
It connects directly to something that already exists.
Scripture say they're gonna drink double of the cup. So you're gonna be a two-time loser, like the elder always says.
FedNow. The Federal Reserve launched this instant payment system in 2023. They marketed it as a way to get paychecks faster, to send money to family instantly, to modernize banking. What they didn't advertise was the surveillance capability. FedNow allows the central bank to see every transaction in real time. Not just banks seeing their own customers, but the Federal Reserve seeing everything. The old banking system was slow, decentralized, and relatively private. Transactions took days to clear. Banks operated independently. The Federal Reserve had oversight, but not omniscience. FedNow changes that completely. Speed equals visibility. Instant payments mean instant data. And that data flows directly to the institution that controls the currency supply. Every coffee purchase, every rent payment, every donation to a political cause, every ounce of silver bought online, visible, recorded, permanent. The third component of the legislation targets physical currency itself, not by banning it outright, but by making high denomination.
I'm about to slow this down. And if you want to watch the rest of this, that'll be on your own. And that's showing you how the Most High, how about you shall protect, who he dealing with. Because I remember the elder actually, not only making a series on that, but just going in on that, and real money is silver and gold. So, I know a lot of brothers that didn't even take heed to that because they didn't want to trust in nothing physical. But you had the opportunity to do that. Now, a lot of brothers is priced out of the, these markets with the silver and the gold, which is all the will of the Lord. And at the end of the day, as a brother, if you're the only one that got it, is you gonna really be a brother? Only the Lord know, right? But the point being, that system wasn't in place when certain brothers was actually, as far as dealing with that, as far as getting silver and gold, so that's the Lord protecting, because best believe now they're monitoring who got that. You know what I mean? Best believe. You got silver and gold, they fuck around and come and confiscate your silver and gold. They didn't confiscated a whole president, right? They're talking about confiscating these other nations. You know what I mean? Again, this is amazing times we're living in. Call Allah Himalaya, how about you now shop, because it shows that the end is near.
Bills disappear. There's a growing movement in Washington to eliminate the $100 bill. The official reason given is crime prevention. They claim that only criminals and tax evaders use large bills, but the statistics tell a different story.
You see how stupid that sound? And then they, like I said again, now they can monitor if you take out, say your check is $1,500, you take out majority of it, 1,000. Now they want to monitor you because they want you to. Why are you taking out that much money out of your bank account? And, and they go back to one of the brothers, because he was like, he went to go get some money out of his bank account, and the cashier, the representative at the bank was questioning him about his money. He like, bitch, what are you talking about? This is my money. What's that one guy that is on Young Gotti's label? Not Young Gotti, Yo Gotti's label. Black. I can't think of dude's name, but long story short, he was talking about how, well, it was a viral video that showed him. He went to the bank to withdraw some money, and pretty much the bank called the cops on him, and they confiscated the money. I think he took out $200,000, and they confiscated like $100,000 of it. showing you. I mean, it's again, this devil is so funny, but not funny at all. You know, man is really the fucking devil, and these people gonna figure that shit out before the end of this thing. You know, he telling you your money ain't even your money. I can do what I want with your shit. Yeah, so I'm gonna play a little bit of the rest of this, and then I'm gonna come out with some scriptures. Because again, that's the infrastructure. If you're not keeping up with it, which you know, brothers that make content, they usually be up on. You know, they like the elder said, they be well rounded. They know some history. They speak well. You know, I'm not a good orator. Maybe sometimes I'll be on the road. I'll be the spirit. I know a fancy word or two. You know. Shit. One of those $20 words, you know. I know one here and there, but for the most part, no. I'm not a great orator. You know what's amazing to me? A lot of brothers in the truth have speech impediments. They stutter. What does it talk about? Stammering lip? No, I don't think stammering. I forget. It's a scripture that talk about pretty much these words so holy about how they make the lips like you stutter. You know. And I never had a speech impediment until I came to the truth. Lord Code.
$100 bill represents approximately 80% of all physical currency in circulation. It's how ordinary Americans store value outside the banking system. A family keeps $2,000 in hundreds in a safe at home, just in case. A small business owner maintains cash reserves to cover payroll during a banking disruption. Elderly citizens who lived through financial crises keep physical bills as a hedge against system failure. Remove the $100 bill, and storing significant amounts of cash becomes physical.
So now they're trying to criminalize keeping cash because during the Great Depression, a lot of individuals, you know, they want to take your money. When you take time to really just be like, hold up, this man is dope. Like, they rather you take it. They know that the system gonna fail. It's too many economists that's talking about this. There's another guy that was talking about it that I want to do a lesson on, but this jumped on my spirit, or the spirit jumped on me to do a lesson on this one first. But pretty much, he's pretty much guesstimating that this collapse is gonna come sometime this year. You know what I mean? Although DJ Trump is literally financing renovations to the White House, which they probably gonna let him get away with because I believe he's already started construction on some shit. So, you know, it's funny and not funny at all.
Impractical. Try keeping $10,000 in $20 bills. It's 500 individual notes. Bulky, difficult to secure, easy to miscount. Now imagine $50,000 in ones and fives. Impossible. This is economic engineering. Make physical money so inconvenient that people voluntarily choose digital alternatives. The legislation also includes tax incentives for businesses that go completely cashless.
So that's why you're seeing a system that they set up where, you know, it's more convenient to use. And shit, I'm doing it now. And we grew up using cash. We got a lot of our money in cash. You didn't do a deal and no fucking, you know, they didn't even have Cash App. Nowadays, you got people that's locked up moving, you know, certain shit in jail and having the Cash App money sent home to their peoples. You know what I mean? And they know what the fuck going on. You know what I mean? You gotta remember, all that shit's monitored. You know what I mean? That's how you got your boy, the thug, sitting up here talking about motherfuckers and wondering why people don't want to fuck with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit funny and not funny at all. I was just trying to do two things at once, so lock it. Bear with me.
Reduced reporting burdens for digital-only operations. Lower transaction fees for electronic payments. Regulatory advantages for companies that refuse physical currency. Business owners face a choice: accept the carrots being offered for going cashless, or bear the increasing costs and complications of handling physical money. Most will choose the path of least resistance. And with each business that stops accepting cash, the infrastructure for a cashless society strengthens. The committee vote was just one step, but it was the critical step. The foundation has been poured. The walls are going up, and most people have no idea the building even exists. There's a system running right now that most people don't know exists. It's not hidden. It's not secret. It's just invisible to those who aren't looking. And it's watching every dollar move through the American economy. In July 2023, the Federal Reserve flipped a switch. No announcement on the evening news, no press conference with dramatic music, just a quiet launch of something called FedNow. The marketing was brilliant. Your paycheck instantly. Send money to friends in seconds. No more waiting for payments to clear. Convenience, speed, modernization. That's what they sold. But what they built was something entirely different. FedNow isn't just faster banking. It's a real-time financial surveillance grid. Here's how the old system worked. When someone made a purchase with a debit card, the transaction entered a queue. It moved through the merchant's bank, then through processing networks, then through clearinghouses. The process took 24 to 72 hours. During that time, the transaction existed in a kind of financial fog. Multiple institutions handled pieces of the information, but no single entity saw everything in real time. The Federal Reserve had oversight, but it was retrospective. They could analyze patterns after the fact, but not watch transactions as they happened. Privacy existed in the delay. FedNow eliminates the delay. Transactions settle in seconds, and every single one flows through Federal Reserve infrastructure. The central bank doesn't just have oversight anymore, it has a live feed. Imagine a highway system where every car has a tracker, and one central office watches every vehicle on every road simultaneously. That's FedNow. But the implications go far deeper than simple monitoring, because once you can see money moving in real time, you can control it in real time. A business owner in Ohio sells a...
So pretty much that's we damn near here, and like I said, it's not coincidence that all these other things are happening as far as this devil coming out with great wrath and the ICE situation. What's the second Ezra chapter 15? Woe to the world and men that dwell therein, sedition among men. I can't say if that situation in Minneapolis is orchestrated or the will. Well, it's all the will of the Lord, even if it's orchestrated. But they use certain places as test grounds for certain situations. So let me get these scriptures. It's the book of Micah chapter 2. Micah chapter 2, beginning at verse 1, and it reads, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their bed. Upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand." Verse 2, "And they covet fields and take them by violence." Didn't they take this land by violence? Scriptures talk about woe to a land that's begotten by blood, roughly paraphrased. That just popped in my head because the brother was quoting that a lot. That's why you got Numbers chapter 35. This land has to be cleansed because the Lord is an equal power, a Lord of balance.
Notice, attention all seniors.
That's why the Lord creates good and evil. The Lord might use something that you would consider wicked to bring forth force. That was the whole point of Star Wars and the Force. It was more wickedness in the earth than it was righteousness. And in order for pretty much it was Luke Skywalker, which the prophecy was kind of muffled. But you got to think about it when you watch what's that damn, I can't think of it. Avengers, what's that, Endgame with Thanos? Pretty much, that was how they killed Iron Man off, and that's how they was able to introduce him playing Doctor Doom.
Women over 50 years.
Salaki, them introduce Doctor Doom is because of the fact they killed him off, and pretty much Doctor Strange was able to see all the realities, and only way they was able to win was if Tony Stark or Iron Man sacrificed himself. So that goes back into the hero movie with the sacrifice. They did it in what's the fuck is the name of that movie with Matt Damon? Elysium. They do it in a lot of movies because of the Messiah. So it's a Messiah-like figure. When you go into movie making.
Guys, so everybody is.
But long story short, my point of bringing all this up is the reason why he didn't tell, because he was like, "How do we win? You sure this is the one we win?" And he said, "If I tell you, it ain't gonna happen," because Tony Stark was considered selfish. You know what I'm saying? So his one act of selflessness is because he didn't know. So that's why Captain America was up there like, you ain't the guy that's going to jump on the bomb for the next guy. You're not going to sacrifice yourself for the team. And that's the mindset of most Babylonians. You get what I'm saying? The elder was just going into all this in a video he just made. He said that Babylon the Great creates some of the worst people because it's gimme, gimme, gimme. It's like Monopoly. When you play that game Monopoly, that game puts a spirit on you of being cutthroat. You get what I'm saying?
Claim your free entry.
Skipping down. So I hate this app. I'm going to have to erase this one and get a better one because I hate when it do that shit. It's going to make you buy this shit. Verse 10. It says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with a sore destruction. Because this place is defiled. It's set up on, the whole system is defiled. It was set up on based on rape, robbery, and murder and lies. You know, they'll tell you, oh, system set up. You got a system, a rigged system that's set up for.
And I'm recording this too. It's crazy.
The 1% to actually thrive, not everybody. Yeah. Only the true wealthy get the benefits from anything in the system, and it's about to get harder. Trust and believe. I was just telling a friend of mine, you know, she up there looking at it a particular way emotionally. Now I'm talking about more so like an investment. You know, trust me, the Lord been with me even through her. You know, again, I got female daughters. I don't know shit about no girls. I know what I think I know. I didn't know women. I had this woman do all this smooth shit. But that's get back as well. You know what I mean? Like, I did a lot of shrewd shit to women. You know what I mean? Thinking that was cool. Now, I ain't talking about, you know what I mean? I'm talking about I did this some foul shit, you know. Bitch, it show me where something that and that shit be gone. You know, it's a difference of not letting a woman control you, or, you know, you saying fuck the broad after you done, you know, dealt with her for moments and you see that it ain't gonna work out. No, that ain't really nothing. That's, you know, women can leave you in a win. Why can't you, you know what I mean? And then like the elder said, you know, pretty much, you know, if y'all not getting along, especially in Babylon the Great, when a woman see that, when a woman fed up, it's best for the man to leave her alone. Because at the end of the day, I put it like this. I noticed that Babylon the Great put a cold spirit on these women. And that's why the elder always goes into how she's our enemy on this side. I'm done using that one. Shit. Oh my God. Revelations chapter 13. And it reads, I'm gonna start at verse very long. I didn't even make this long. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. You know, that can go be into his ICBMs. But this man has technology. You know, a lot of it's coming out with the Venezuela thing. And of course he wouldn't tell you, you know, you know, that give you power, shit. You having the gun and nobody else can have the gun. You know what I mean? So, of course. But the thing is, you got other nations that got power too. They got technology too. You know, that whole situation with Project Paperclip, I forgot who's Gog and Magog, what their project was called, because they both got those Temanite scientists. That's why they both was able to come up with a lot of the technologies. That's why they always called it a race. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. You know, because a lot of people uplift this man thinking that, you know, he liken onto the Most High God. This man trying to play God. This man want to read your thoughts. He want to put the thoughts in your mind. You know what I mean? Monitor your every move. This truly will be a prison planet. By the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And they're creating a system. You know, you watch Elon Musk. I didn't know that was a Nazi symbol till the brothers went into that. And that's how you know the Lord be dealing with the brothers. You know, I never knock this truth, and I never knock the camp that I learned from. You know, I do say certain things because, again, certain things is being said. Like, if you don't know, the first thing we all taught is, you know, I ain't going to go into it anymore. Like I said, it's water under the bridge. You know, again, education is you know, that's why they say, know thyself. And you got, see, the thing is, you not only got to know yourself, you got to know history, and you got to know what's going on around you. You got to be circumspect. Make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And we living in modern day Rome today. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And, you know, in this modern day Rome, they, you know, if you not with the philosophies of this place, you know what I mean? If you don't trust wholeheartedly into this wicked ass government, that your instincts should be screaming. You know, like, you ever been around a scandalous ass person? I don't give a fuck if you ain't got really no street smarts. I've seen children do it, you know, when they been around a real wicked motherfucker and they just literally like don't want to be by him, don't want to speak to him. Or one time my daughter looked at some motherfucker and just started crying. And he up there trying to speak to her, and I'm just like, yeah, she good. But I already knew it was like something about this nigga's spirit. And cause that as many, and cause that as many that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So if you don't conform, you know, they're going to persecute you. They're going to ostracize you. They're going to pretty much keep you out of the system. But more than likely, they're going to just purge you. Because why would they have somebody like you running loose? You can affect other people. Verse 16, and he calls of all both, but you got to have faith and trust in the Lord. Whatever. You know, it's deep because, you know, I'm going based off of certain ideologies and mindsets of me and I was around, as opposed to forming my own opinions about things. And that's when I start really moving, you know, it wasn't just, oh, I'm catching all this hell while everybody else, you know, twiddling their toes. It was a number of things, because I would see certain elders say this while these elders offer, well, particular individuals off screen. I ain't gonna say these elders because, you know, no, everybody doesn't have the same mindset. That's when I understood the spirit, you know, because it's councils. You know, man's judgment can be off. So when everybody in agreement, I get that. Scripture say the Lord shall do his pleasure, though. You know, look at Saul. Saul was anointed king. What made David righteous is he didn't try and take the kingdom. He just let the Lord hand it to him. But Saul was going off prior. What you talking about? And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads. That tiny technology. That mark, it goes into charagma. And ultimately, the root is karax, an implantable device. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you're gonna have to be embedded in the system. Otherwise, they're about to ostracize you and make it where you can't sustain yourself. I mean, look at this shit. Like, think about it. It make all the sense. When this economy crashes, they gonna cut all these social services, and then they gonna renew them. Oh, you're gonna have to, like, I believe it was an elder or a brother that was like, yeah, they gonna cut this shit and then come back and be like, the only way you can recover this stuff is if you go ahead and accept this, because the technology already here. You got to remember about, I was doing videos on that. I think it was a company from Taiwan that they built a factory in Babylon the Great. I want to say near Texas or something. That was years ago. That was like, and you know, Taiwan makes some of the most sophisticated, and they like came up with a system to make these chips, RFID chips, way more efficiently. Man, that was they did that here when I was still part of the camp, like years ago. So I believe, you know, they got the infrastructure group going because they already put up the 5G. So you don't know if that system can just go to 6 or 7G. Like, they probably don't have to put up new infrastructure. They just got to probably change the technology or tweak the technology. And 6G, again, they said it's going to be able to work with this beast system. And if you choose to, you know, join onto it, it's a judgment for that. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Because the Heavenly Father is going to have our big brother come back and deliver. That's why he deliver, you know, he saves or he deliver. He going to save us in our moment, you know, and a brother made mention of that. He said, in order for you to be delivered, you got to be in need of saving. You know what I'm saying? We all about to be, if you resist in this system, you're going to be in need of saving. And the thing is, salvation ain't for everybody because you got to be of the elect. So, you know, for those that's actually, those that's actually in the know that the Lord got a spirit on and see these things coming, you know, you might be your lot to be, you know, out there on the highways and hedges prophesying the downfall, you know. But it's only going to be the true believers that's going to stand firm to what they said. The scriptures talk about in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5, he that stood in great boldness. And the brother brought out a scripture on that. That's why you got to really start, well, not you, because again, like I've read, but I don't retain information like I once did. Maybe too much drinking or too many drugs or whatever the case may be. But that's my lot. So that's why I truly believe in the portion given. You know, you got brothers that quote scripture left and right, you know, but ain't living none of it. And that's not for anybody in particular, but I've witnessed certain things, you know what I'm saying? But that's between that person and the Lord, you know? You got a lot of women that's full of shit. I'm going to be obedient to my husband. I'm a sister. But then giving this man all this hell. I've seen brothers catch hell. That's why I used to tell young brothers, like, you want a woman, I'll buy some pussy, you know what I'm saying? And then I remember the elder brothers from down south, they was like, shit, you be trying to get some, can't even get none. The Lord won't even give you a bow, you can't even buy it. And I've experienced that. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure brothers that's locked in and deep in the faith have too. When the Lord don't want you to do something, lock into him, nope, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? That's funny. So yeah, I mean, with a woman, first of all, you gotta actually like be guiding her in the proper manner because she following you, and you supposed to be a man of the Lord, not no wicked ass nigga. Yeah, I mean, but also it's responsibility coming with that. I mean, a woman, you know what I mean? It's not all it's cracked up to be what you think, you know. Like with me, I know the Lord gave me particular women because they was good for my children at the time. You know, I had a lot of women that, well, not a lot. I had a couple women that actually chose to take up the role of what their mother's supposed to be doing. So they was more like mother figures, and and the elders always going into how nothing these women is, especially women of our nation, and I agree. That's why the Lord gonna kill a lot of them. You know what I mean? I watched one of them do some shit. And I was like, I would have never thought you to do that because you telling me how you wouldn't do it. A lot of these women gonna get weak. And you gotta remember, with all the death that's gonna be on the earth, and there's more women in Balaam the Great than being, there's more women on the planet. Yeah, a lot of these women about to die. But ultimately, like I said again, this devil about to come down with great wrath, and like I said, you know, the Lord gonna put a particular spirit on the true believers. And it's Revelation chapter 12. And I'm going to start at verse 10, and it reads, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his Mashiach, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night. Verse 11, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb. Oh, and by the way, when I speak on certain things, it's not to down, like if that was the case, I'd have just went back in the world, you know. But again, I got a personal testimony with the Lord. But at the end of the day, if you say the Spirit guides these lessons, again, I don't understand if that's the case and what you on here for. You know what I mean? Like, you explain that to me. Not just because I can do it or I got the right, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I believe in the truth. I got to be bugged out, right? But the thing is, you know, I believe our big brother probably is the most, what's the word? Misunderstood individual on the planet at the time he was living. Think about it. His disciples didn't even get it. He had to break it down to them a couple times, like, well, they don't really say couple, but yeah, some of the things he would go over again now that I think about it. So, you know, he's misunderstood even from those that fuck with him because he was on a whole different level. And I hope to I pray to the Lord, how about you, shall put the Spirit on me to lock in like he did, because whatever, he knew his fate before, you know, that he's the only individual. Like I've seen movies where they show people knowing their fate and being able to subvert it or, you know, escape it. The Messiah knew his fate, And even at the end, he got weak and was like, well, you know, Lord, if it's any other way, let me do it. But he said, not my will be done, but yours. So he was obedient. No matter what the Lord got set up for me, you know what I mean? I pray that the Lord put a spirit like the Messiah on me. Because we all gonna have to have that type of faith to to be able to say, I'm gonna refuse this no matter if I'm starving to death, if you're killing my children, all that. Like, you're gonna have to be on a whole different level of faith. Of faith. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, that's the spirit, and the word of their testimony, and they love not their lives unto the death. Now, when you testify, well, everybody got a testimony. To testify, you got to have testicles. I don't know if that's the same for testimony. Now, I don't have a dictionary. It's very early in the morning. So, but point being, because I thought the testimony is pretty much any believer's, account of what made them, come back to or the household of faith. So, but yeah, it's gonna have to be, your measure of faith, your measure of your belief, to be locked in for what's about to come. And the beautiful part about this is, like everybody's saying, all the true belief, all the hopeful elect are saying, too much prophecy. They just prophecy. Again, we literally see in Revelation 17 and 16, that's beautiful, because we one step closer. Like the elder said, I hope it's this year. Shit, I hope it's today. You know what I'm saying? It is early in the morning. But, I mean, it's not my will, it's the Lord's will. And certain things got to play out. So I'm going to end the lesson there. We one step closer because, again, that system is already in play. The Fed now, that's already there. So you got all these data being collected. Like I said, again, now they monitoring how much money you spending and using the guise of all this fraud. How the fuck people committing fraud with it got proven that it was fraud with the government? When Elon Musk, they start show you how a lot of people are stupid too. Like Elon Musk came in there, we're gonna be around for such and such time. They stole everybody's data, and now you get all these weird ass calls, man. And you can hear I can hear the AI for the most part. A lot of times, that's why I don't even answer the phone. The one thing about my phone, it'll let me know about a lot of the numbers. It'll say that scam shit. So I don't even answer them. If I recognize a number, yeah. But if you really a person instead of a bot, you'll leave a voicemail. I'll get phone calls all motherfucking day. I ain't popular. You know what I mean? Those that knew me and knew what I was capable of doing and could get and all that type shit. You know what I mean? I never wanted to, like Pimp C said, he said, give me the money, fuck the fame. You always said, like, why you think it, what the fuck was, Denzel Washington, well, he was the, not Bumpy Johnson, but he was the Kingpin. He got mad at his peoples, even his broad, because of the fact, he said, bitch, you made me get noticed. He said, buying you the fancy ass, they said, who this nigga buying the bitch? He said he got a better firm than the boss that we know about. Frank Lucas, that's the spirit. So I've been rambling for a minute, We one step closer. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praises, I want to give all honor, I want to give all glory to call loyal, La Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Hakadosh, double honors to the elders, to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and Aqua, to the listening and learning, Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad, and the land of other nations appearing like the other nations, will subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time, Lord, willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasharallah, Wath Lababal. Soon.